Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Once again, we are returning to the My Favorite AWA Remco tournament. I figured for the beginning of round two, I'll give you guys a little different perspective here in the room. And it's fitting because most of the winners in round one were custom figures. So it's nice to have, more additional custom figures in the backdrop as well. Again, I figure during each and every round, we'll switch the positioning of the camera and give you a different backdrop. So, we are going to dive in with the first set of matches today. Again, we're sticking with 5 matchups per video. But actually, before I do that, there is something that came in the mail just yesterday. And I'm really excited about talking about these when the time comes. I've talked about wanting to do a review of the Cello Toys reviews, looking at, we still got to look at the Mattel Retros, so Cello Toys, Mattel Retros, the Hasbro Toys, Grapplers and Gimmicks, Zombie Sailors, Heels and Faces. They're all reminiscent to the WWF Hasbro figures of the 90s. And I'm not going to show all of them. I got 5 additional figures in yesterday. I'm just going to show off a couple that I really like. Guys like, King Haku and Blue Meanie. So, I don't know who Blue Meanie is. I've never seen him wrestle. I just like the action figure. I just think it's pretty solid. And it's one of the things that you're going to notice on the back of the cards for each series. They don't always have all of the wrestlers on there. And you think that with the original Series 2 releases, that they would at least have who's already produced. So I'm not really sure how Cello Toys, how they break down their individual series. I might just do all figures in one video, or I might try to break it down by series the best I can. I haven't decided yet. But like I said, guys, you got 5 different carded figures here, so to go with the rest of them that I've already have in my collection. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm probably looking at that hopefully at the end of this tournament. Alright, so let's dive in with the bread and butter of this video, which is the Remco figures. And, in round one it was difficult enough to choose a winner. I had to eliminate so many great figures, and in round two, doesn't get any easier. Sometimes I think by round 3, round 4, you kind of get a feel of who you think, especially talking about the figures over a couple of videos, you kind of have an idea of who you want to select as your winner or who you think has the best chance of winning. In round 2, you're still kind of like stuck in the middle. You're not sure which one you like better because there's so many factors that play a role. Everything from personal history with the wrestler to the actual design of the figure itself. Playability is there for every single one of them, so that really has to go out the window. So that history, as well as color and design, accessories, things like that, have to really factor into your decision. So random drawing here in Series 2. The first set of figures that were selected is going to feature Diamond Stud Scott Hall as he does battle with Mil Mascaris. So Mil Mascaris, we'll start off with him. He's probably one of the most well-known and influential luchadors of all time. And I think he's still around today. So he'd probably be in his 80s by now. And what I discovered recently that this man appeared in about 24 or close to 24 movies in his career, and I think that's phenomenal. That's gonna be Rock level at some point. I'm not sure how many movies Rock has appeared in, but that number is definitely up there. So the one thing that's fantastic about many luchador wrestlers, tradition. You're always gonna wrestle with your mask on. And you're keeping your identity a secret is important. But obviously people know who he is based on, the credits in said movies. So they already got the name from the wrestler, but they've never seen his face, I imagine, because of said tradition. Wrestling Hall of Famer, obviously WWE Hall of Famer as well. I think it was like back-to-back years or close to it. Maybe 2010 and then if not 2011, maybe 2012. He was inducted into WWE Hall of Fame. I'm not, just a special man all over the planet. I mean, he wasn't just Mexico or United States. The man also wrestled in Japan as well. So, again, your influential wrestler. And he goes up against Scott Hall. This is exactly the Scott Hall that I know. You know, when you look at the Scott Hall grudge match original figure from Remco, the one thing that I like about some of these customs I talked about before is you really want the figures to kind of blend in with the original line. Where if you look at the figure, you can tell, hey, I look at them looking at this figure, and I don't know if this is original or custom type of deal. Now, when you look at the Scott Hall figure, there's a no doubter. That face mold is completely modern, and in this particular case, I absolutely would love this one 1,000 times more than the original Scott Hall. At least you can actually see the whole, Razor Ramon face in this one, where the other one with the mustache, not so much. Awesome color scheme throughout. I mean, as you guys know, I'm always appreciative of the dual colors, so it's not just, singular color tone. Razor Ramon or Mil Mascaras. I grew up watching Razor Ramon, multiple time Intercontinental Champion. Probably one of the top 5, I would say, in my opinion, Intercontinental Champions of all time. Moved over to WCW when he wasn't getting his pay raise with WWF, and started this incredible faction for a company, and actually put them over the top where they were actually outperforming WWF in ratings. A legend, no doubt, but he's just someone I never watched growing up, and I've only become familiar with him over the last couple of years as I've collected and learned about many 1970s and 1980s wrestlers. He's been around since the 1960s. Wrestling career, expanding, was at 5 decades before he retired. Insane. But come on, Razor Ramon, Scott Hall versus Mil Mascaras. To me, this one was a no-brainer. The Diamond Stud Scott Hall figure defeats Mil Mascaras. Alright, another great matchup here. And one of those matchups that's going to be really hard to pick a winner. It's going to feature Buddy Rose, original, taking on the custom Brodie Lee. So, the only reason I know the name of Brodie Lee, again, another one of those modern wrestlers I never watched, but there was this 2-pack with Brodie Lee, and I think he had like a little small kid or something in the package, which I purchased off of Ringside Collectibles, and it was like a in memory of type of packaging. And whenever you see that, I'm like, you know what, that's beautiful, that's well crafted, I'm going to pick that up. And I kind of feel like something like that is going to be, priceless in the future anyways. Do I know anything about Brodie Lee himself? I don't. Anytime you hear of someone's death, I said it before, whether or not that person is irrelevant, someone just died. And you're always going to feel the hurt when you hear somebody passes. But from what I've read about him, very beloved character. And unfortunately, when it comes to a tournament like this, because I don't have any back history with Brodie Lee, I have to strictly base all of my decisions on the actual action figure itself. And this one is so well done. Another one of those figures that have this incredible 3D printed face that looks just like the real life wrestler. And of course, I've talked about it. If they made this Brodie Lee beard for like the Bruiser Brody figure, that I think it would have helped so much more. Does he mesh well with your AWA era figures? No. He's a modern wrestler. You can tell that this is a modern, upgraded figure. That detracts from the overall quality. Does he have a shot of winning this tournament? I think it's an exceptional figure. One I absolutely love and I'm super glad that I picked up. But can he win the tournament? I don't think so. And This round here, it doesn't get any easier for him, as he is squaring off one of the single greatest action figures of the AWA Remco line, and it's Playboy Buddy Rose. I've already said before, I love the figure. I love the fact that he's not so, flabby like you would imagine Abdullah the Butcher or someone to be. But it's not like that chiseled 20-pack abs that, everybody has on their figures. It's more realistic in that sense. With the length of the legs and the color of the boots and everything. And again, the robe accessory. Based on today's market value, the robe itself is probably a $200 accessory. Buddy Rose, just a good looking figure. Not someone I grew up watching that I can recall. But I'm still appreciative of what you get from the line and for the character. I knew I was going to give some kind of back history for a lot of these figures in round 2. I might not do it this video because I'm looking around and I don't really think there's too much more I can add for a lot of these figures that hasn't already been said before or that isn't already well known. So the decision is, do I choose this amazing custom or one of my elite favorites from the original line? Brodie Lee definitely has more to offer as far as design. But come on, Buddy Rose. I've said it before. I feel like Buddy Rose should be one of the last 6 figures or so remaining in this tournament. Does it happen? You know what? We're through 2 rounds. He's through 2 rounds. So there's a legitimate chance that happens. But what happens in round 3? I don't know. We'll find out, but I feel like this one should be standing somewhere near the end. Buddy Rose defeats Brodie Lee, and that moves us on to Matt Cardona versus Jim Duggan. Nope, I take it back. Ted DiBiase. The Jim Duggan and Ted DiBiase figure are very similar, so easy mix-up. Matt Cardona. I don't think that this is the original Remco figure. And I showed that Vanity Podcast set of 4 figures with, I think it's Mark Sterling or Mike Sterling. Something like that. I don't know. Matt Cardona, there's a referee, and there's someone else. Brian Myers, maybe. I'm thinking that's what this figure is. I don't think it's one of the original AWA Remco line. So, the head mold, as I said, based on that design, it is Remco style, but I don't think this is a complete Remco figure. And I think the only reason I push this one forward in the first round is because, 1, I do absolutely love the look of the figure, and 2, he probably went up against someone that wasn't quite as worthy as this one. Ted DiBiase, right off the bat, by namesake alone, Ted DiBiase already had the upper hand. I know Matt Cardona more from like YouTube or being like this buyer of wrestling figures than I do know him as an actual wrestler. Sorry, I just didn't grow up watching him or anything like that. So, and he probably entered WWF long after I stopped watching. So, and again with the namesake, Ted DiBiase is someone I've grown up watching, someone I've appreciated my whole life. As a bad guy, probably my number 1 all-time favorite bad guy. His figure is awesome. He was an AWA wrestler and, part of the Rat Pack. Just a quality figure that meshes well with the original line. The head might be a little bit too upgraded to be completely part of, the AWA Remcos, but this is a person that could have fell in line with the Remco line when it came out, and overall look is just solid. If it was going off of, if this really was an actual Remco, yes, I feel like this would have defeated Ted DiBiase, but come on, namesake wise, I know a lot more about Ted DiBiase, and I want to see Ted DiBiase further in this tournament, and they're both quality figures, so there really is no wrong answer here, but Ted DiBiase is going to move forward into round 3. Next matchup is going to feature the Crippler, Chris Benoit, as he squares off against Abdullah the Butcher. Now you've seen Abdullah the Butcher. The man's like 450 pounds. He's like King Kong Bundy size, maybe even larger. And the fact that you have someone like King Kong, or excuse me, like Abdullah the Butcher, and Buddy Rose with like very similar body types, or you've seen Jimmy Garvin with like this type of body type. I'm like, that's insane. This man was like, and I've talked about it. He was definitely one of the more fascinating wrestlers. But when you look behind the scenes and look at what he did, as far as cutting himself, even though he had hepatitis, and then, kind of striking his opponents with that same utensil, you got to look past the excitement that he offered as a wrestler and as a performer and kind of look at like, dude, you are as messed up as your competitor in this matchup. I talked about the Chris Benoit. Not a fan. I think any man that goes out and kills your family, you deserve to be stricken from the books. As a figure tournament, this one was just too good not to pass on in the first round, even though I really didn't want to give him recognition here in round 2. As I said, it's a quality action figure, but I mean, even WWF, basically cut him out of the records. Like I said, what was it, 2000, maybe 2001, something like that. He won the Royal Rumble. And when WWE gives their list of WWE Royal Rumble champions or winners, you don't even see his name pop up. They completely blocked him out. And again, I could never in a million years imagine, killing my wife. And if I had kids, how does any human being do that? I mean, psychopaths, actual serial killers will not hurt their own family. So what was going through this man's mind? Good figure, but come on, Abdullah the Butcher as an original figure, and one of my favorites from the Grudge match and from this line as a total package. May not have his accessories with the loose figures. I still think it's a better quality figure, and yeah, I don't know what else to say about Chris Benoit. Yeah, I'm done with that. Sorry. Just kind of think, I've been watching, my wife and I have been on YouTube, and we're watching like a lot of these old, I guess, court cases and stuff, and one of the court cases involved a man who went out and killed 3 of his sons. They're like 3, 5, and 7 or something like that. Didn't hurt his stepdaughter, didn't hurt his wife. He just wanted to take his sons out. I'm like, that's, again, I look at Chris Benoit, and I think of a guy like that, and I'm like, it just blows my mind. All right. That's depressing. Back to the more happier times of this video. Luckily, we don't have to talk about crazy stuff like that again. I don't think so. Feature Jimmy Snuka going against Curt Hennig. I thought this was a completely new head mold when I first acquired him. But when I sat down and did this, was looking at this figure back in round 1, I looked at the face. I'm like, nah. That's not a new head mold. That actually is the original head mold for Curt Hennig. And, Russ, he just did an amazing job kind of attaching the blonde hair on the backside. Tossing on a singlet, championship belt. Such a perfect quality figure. And with Curt Hennig in, I believe it was Series 2. Or was it Series 1? Trying to look over. I believe it was Series 2, but I could be wrong. With the Gagne Raiders. When you throw on the military uniform and everything, the figure looks incredible. But whether it's, Curt Hennig with like the yellow singlet or like the dual black and orange singlet, whatever, that's Curt Hennig I know. That's Mr. Perfect for me. And all day, this right here, don't think of him as Curt Hennig, just think of him as Mr. Perfect, because everything the man did, was perfect. And he had one of those very few vignettes that I actually remember as a kid. playing baseball or racquetball, or shooting a hoop over his head, or shooting a ball over his head, and 30 feet behind him it goes into the basket or whatnot. It's like crazy. Jimmy Snuka, again, probably one of my oldest known wrestlers. And I've been trying to think about him, and maybe because I was just too young, or maybe because in the late 80s, I think he was already out of WWF. I think maybe he returned like early 90s. I just don't have the most knowledge of Jimmy Snuka anymore. And you would think, especially the way I've talked about him, you would think that he would be the one guy that I would have as much knowledge about as anyone else out there. Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Randy Savage, these are memorable characters in my life. And no matter how much time has passed, there's always something about those guys, some kind of matches or something I'm always going to remember. And Jimmy Snuka, just not that character for me. It's a fantastic piece. I like the fact that they kind of took that knockoff Jimmy Snuka LJN Remco style figure and put it on this body. And you could tell, because look at the way that the head kind of sticks out a little bit. It's that knockoff version. I haven't been bringing it down. I really should have. That way, kind of give you a side by side view of what they look like. The pants is okay. I've never, to my knowledge, I've never seen Jimmy Snuka wear pants. But if you got a figure with pants on, it's probably best to just paint that up as opposed to trying to put skin tone on there and then just make the trunk. So quality figure, definitely deserves a second look. In this matchup, he will not defeat Mr. Perfect. He could have deserved a third and fourth look. Luck of the draw. It's going to be really hard to make a decision based on the information, because Curt Hennig, to me right now, is a 5th round figure. Does he make it that far? I don't know. But so far, I'm pretty happy with the decisions I made. This may have been one of the tougher decisions, but the overall look and singlet and everything just kind of, really blades in beautifully. And, yeah. So, Razor Ramon, I think, deserved his victory. Absolutely love the Buddy Rose figure. That one deserves to win. The Jim Duggan, or I keep calling him Jim Duggan, the Ted DiBiase and Cardona was a difficult choice. I think Ted DiBiase for me was the right choice. And Abdullah the Butcher over Chris Benoit, to me, an absolute no-brainer there as well. So, yeah. Video 1 for round 2 is complete. And, I don't know. I think I'm going to stop for today. I think one video today is good, and I'll come back at a later date, make the next set of videos. But at least, let's see, today is Thursday, the 21st. Yeah. So this video will be uploaded probably in the next 20 minutes or so. That way I get this video out there for you guys. Anything else coming up in the short term? Nope. I think that's essentially it. Tournament videos probably for the next few weeks. And then I can definitely look at the Zombie State. Well, no, I can't, because Series 2 hasn't arrived yet. Cello Toys, I've got probably 24 packages here. If I don't have every figure, I should at least have very close to it. So I could probably do the Cello Toys right now. And Grapplers and Gimmicks, I got 3 figures, and I got 4 figures. So not a whole lot there. I might want to wait until I have a little bit more substantial quantities to do videos on. Alright guys, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Goodbye everyone.